Hello, this is C's Listening Room, and I'm back. I record all this on my phone. It's a very low budget, cheap operation. I just basically put the phone up against a stand here, and I talk into it. But I had a problem with my memory. I had so much clogging up my phone that I didn't have enough memory to film any more videos and store them. So after deleting about 4,000 files, I think I've got enough memory to finish a video. So we'll see. We'll see if this thing actually keeps running the whole way through. But today's discussion is this one here, Cruisin' Deuces. This is the 1993 release from Danny Gatton. Danny Gatton was a primarily rockabilly player. He calls it hillbilly jazz. It's mostly rockabilly with a little bit. It's mostly country with some rock, some blues, and some jazz mixed in. But I would say, for the most part, it's primarily rockabilly. And I first heard about him in a Guitar World interview in the early 1990s. They were talking to Thomas McLaughlin. And at that time, the group Bad for Good had released the album Refugee, and Thomas McLaughlin was only something like 12 or 13 years old, and he was being discussed as the future of the guitar, being this child prodigy who was going to do great things, and that didn't really happen. I haven't heard of the guy since then. Seems like here in the U.S. he's pretty much faded into obscurity. I'm sure he's out there doing something, but he really isn't well known here in the U.S. at all. And he had a little bit of success with that one album like 20-something years ago. But when it first came out and he was like the next big thing, supposedly, they interviewed him. And they had asked him who he was listening to. And he mentioned Danny Gatton. And he said he could play anything. And then, unfortunately, the next time I had heard about Danny Gatton was also in Guitar World in 1994 when there was a sidebar story that Danny Gatton had taken his own life. Apparently, he was suffering from a lot of depression, and he ended his own life before he was able to accomplish even more great things and become a better known artist, which unfortunately people have still not gone and discovered him yet. So he's basically an unknown except for a few people in the know. He kind of ended his own career before he could really become a household name, I guess. But this is I would say, a pretty good example of his work. He did not sing. Most of the songs were instrumental. There were a couple songs that had vocals in them, but he didn't sing any of the vocals. He actually got some pretty good people to sing with him. He does a cover of It Doesn't Matter Anymore, which was sung by Rodney Crowell, pretty well-known guy. And then Delbert McClinton also sings on here. He does the Sun medley, which is Mystery Train, My Baby Left Me, and That's All Right. A couple old Sun Records songs. So he gets a big name to sing on that one. But I would say that the best moments on this album are the instrumentals, and that could be a problem commercially, because there isn't a huge market for instrumental guitar music. And rockabilly itself is also kind of small when it comes to the audience. There really isn't a massive audience for rockabilly like there is with standard country music now. Contemporary country music is one of the best-selling genres. Rockabilly never was, and a lot of people still haven't discovered it. But when you add instrumental tunes to the mix, I think that just complicates it more. And the thing with Danny Gatton was his best stuff, I think, was the instrumental stuff, because that's where he could really flex his muscles and do solos. And I would have to say, of any genre that I've heard, out of any genre of music, he's probably one of the best guitarists I've heard. and that's any genre. What he was able to get out of his guitar without using a lot of effects, without using a lot of real modern techniques, just playing the old-fashioned style straight through the amp. None of this new stuff that came out with dive bombs and double tapping, none of that stuff. Just standard old school playing, standard old school sound, Telecaster guitar through the amp, that's it. The stuff that he was able to do, I think, was pretty much taking the instrument to its limits. I mean, he really stretched out the his playing. I mean, he really took the instrument about as far as I think anybody could under the circumstances. And he's got a good band, though, that helps him out, but he wasn't... I would say his music wasn't intended to be mainstream music. His playing was just too good, and he was more of a guitar soloist. And as I said, that's always kind of hard to market. My favorite track would probably be the first one, the opening song, which is Funhouse. It's got some good saxophone in it. It's probably the most upbeat and most exciting song on the album. I took it over to my parents' house. I wanted my father to hear it and tell me what he thought of it. He liked it enough where he made a copy of the CD, but he said that the saxophone playing in the song and everything reminded him a little bit of Edgar Winter's Frankenstein. Kind of does. There's a little bit of similarity between the saxophone work in both songs. But there's a couple, I would say that a couple instrumental tracks on here really are the best example of his work. It gets a little slow towards the end. Most of the album is really fun to listen to. It's really exciting. It's upbeat. It's really just cool stuff. But towards the end, it starts to slow down a little bit and it loses its way. The final song is Satisfied Mind, and I think that really mars the rest of the album. It's a little too depressing. It's a little too serious. I think the song's a little unsettling because the lyrics are about when he dies, when it's my time, and it's very, very heavy. And considering that he basically took his own life not too long after this album was recorded, and he's singing about dying, there's something a little uneasy about listening to that. Even though he wasn't the vocalist on the song, it was still his album. And it was a little creepy. That song, to me, kind of took down the momentum that was building up throughout the rest of the album, and I would have done without it. So, to me, that kind of will cut down the rating a little bit. But there's some really good rockabilly on there. There's some really good guitar soloing. Really, it's a good album. I would say 10 out of 12 tracks are really good. It just gets a little too serious and too slow towards the end, and it loses what it had building up, and it's kind of a shame because it's a really fun listen. I say rockabilly as a whole is kind of fun music to listen to, even when it's a sad song or it's a song that's about something that's not really particularly exciting or fun. It's still cool music to listen to. It's such a good time genre of music. So a song that heavy and serious, it just doesn't seem to fit on this kind of album. So I would say, again, probably about 10 out of 12 songs are really good on here. It's got a really good band. The band members are right there. You probably can't see it from here, but he's got a really good band. He's got a lot of hot rod imagery, Cruisin' Deuces, Deuce Coupes. See the Deuce Coupe right there. for the most part, it's really fun to listen to, and if you're really into, if you want to hear some good guitar playing from a guy you've probably never heard of, that most people have never heard of, and you want to hear really good guitar playing, this is a good album to listen to. I would get, despite the last couple songs being a little I would still give this one 4 out of 5 stars. Could have been a 4.5 or 4.5, but still 4 out of 5 stars for Cruisin' Deuces. Great album from a guy who never got his due and definitely deserved a lot better than he got, which is obscurity. And he deserves better than he gets now. So 4 out of 5 stars, Danny Gatton, Cruisin' Deuces. If you don't like instrumental music, if you're not into guitar soloing, skip it. If you want to expand your horizons and listen to really good old school guitar playing, seek this one out. You probably won't find it at a pawn shop like I did, but look for it. A lot of fun. Stellar guitar work. He's got a good band, great lineup. Overall, great album. Anyway, looks like I was able to get through this video without the camera cutting out on me. I call that success. Catch you in the next video. Later.